Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Curbison, joined with Reed Bacon. We're breaking down the signing class. We're talking about everybody. We've hit a couple guys before whenever they committed, but really diving in deep what we like about them, what we think they can work on, how are they going to fit into this team, and what they can bring to the table, and an overall breakdown of how recruiting works, why the Bamas, the Floridas, the Texas A&Ms, what's happening with them, and how they're so far ahead as of right now. But super excited for this one. Hopefully you guys can get our point of views on it. So let's jump into it.
The game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir-ree. No, sir-ree. Final score, Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught. Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
Okay, so before we jump into the podcast, gotta shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. You got to go there to bet on any games. Listen, football, full swing. We're getting into bowl games. We're getting into college football playoffs. It's getting a later half of the NFL, maybe some playoffs coming up. Basketball's in full swing. NBA, college basketball, now just starting up. To make all those games more exciting, you got to bet on them. Put some money down. It really gets the adrenaline going. So for stats, for odds, for spreads, everything that you need, betonline.ag is the place to go. Right now, they've just updated their desktop version of their website, so it looks brand new. So go there or on your mobile device, and when you sign up, you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit if you use code BELIEVE50. That's BLEAV50. So make sure and use that when you first sign up, and you receive that 50% welcome bonus, which is just, hey, it's extra money. Why wouldn't you do it? So head on over to betonline.ag. It's the best place to do any bets. It's just the best sports book out there. So go on over.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. Going to have a great podcast here talking about all of our signees from Wednesday. Well, I don't know if we're going to get through all of them. We're going to try and talk about the big ones. But first and foremost, Reed, how we doing, bud?
Hey, what's up? Saturday morning. We're doing this a little bit early so that Kyler can get the pod out to you guys on Monday, since we just had National Signing or early National Signing Day on Wednesday.
Which at this point, it's like, is this not just signing day? I hate having 2 days.
Yeah, true. I'm just trying to be content appropriate. But anyways, I got my big orange sweatshirt on because the Vols were supposed to play Memphis today, and because we're talking about recruits, I guess the news just broke. I guess that we're not playing today because of COVID, so that super sucks. But we're going to drill this a really good pod. Like I said, we're not huge on news breaking recruiting, but I do enjoy watching some of their highlights and trying to break down and see what we think about some of these guys. So we've hit on a couple guys throughout the year. Like we've talked about, Caleb Perry and Addison Nichols and the running back from down in Louisiana, which I absolutely love, Dylan Sampson, I think's his name.
Yeah, we talked about Christian Harrison a little bit whenever he committed.
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago. I'll probably hit on him a little bit more because I had not watched a ton. But we talked about Mo Clipper, Messiah Reddick, and my dude Squirrel, which I am a big fan of Squirrel. It is Dylan Sampson, so I wanted to make sure I had his name right. But I remember watching this film. But so we're going to kind of hit on some of the newer guys, break down some of the film, just talk about them as a recruit, and then and go from there. So I'm ready to jump into it.
All right. So who do you want to start on?
I would prefer, just because these are my where my notes are, but let's go Justin Williams first.
Okay. Well, Justin Williams. I really did like him a lot. I thought the best part about him is that he was creating arm tackles. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, when he's running the ball, it's like, instead of just straight up juking a dude out and completely like having him miss, he's creating an arm tackle, which is just getting to the edge of the tackler and honestly saves him effort, time, and gets him to where he needs to go faster, which I just was like, that is a skill that I didn't even really concentrate on with running back, but watching that film, I was like, holy crap, like he's purposely doing that. And I thought that was such a great attribute of his game.
So for me, and by the way, it's a little staticky on my end. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're like, try to sit back and look. Are you normal where you are to the mic? Sorry, folks.
I mean, I might be a little bit closer.
Yeah, drop back just a little bit. It's a little staticky.
Okay.
Get back in that pocket a little bit. You know, we need a 7-step, not a 5-step.
7-step drop. Gotcha.
I don't know what it might be, and it might be my phone. Anyways, Justin Williams. So I try not to get really excited about these guys before they sign, or watching their stuff before they sign, and then because I don't want to be bummed out if they don't, and then I'm like, well, who cares if we get bummed out? Like, whatever. But he was one of the first guys I turned the film on when we were going to be going through this podcast, and I was impressed. I was actually really impressed. First off, he looks solid. He's 6 foot 205. You know, he had a pretty good offer list. But like, the one thing that matters in all football, all levels of football, and one thing that this coaching staff really wants is speed. Speed straight up kills. Like, in football, it's the one thing. Like, you can have an above average football player, and his traits might be toughness, and he's good mentally, and he sees the field well, has good instincts and all that stuff. And he can be a pretty good player. But you can also have an average player, and if he's got speed, I would rather have him, because especially on the offensive side of the ball, because, you know, some of that other stuff can't make up for speed. But when I watched Justin Williams, first off, it kind of looked like what I want to see is child's play, and it kind of looked like child's play a little bit. I mean, he would hit a hole and gone, and they couldn't keep up with him. But the other thing is that was really impressive is, like you were talking about his tackles, it was very, very weird. Like, not only – it was like he didn't get affected by tackles. Like, I almost wanted to say he had some AK in him, where it was like people would just hit and he'd bounce off. No, like, I'm not talking about AK in high school. I'm talking about AK in college and the NFL. Like, people will legit get a good shot on him and a good hit, and he might, like, halfway stumble or stop, but keep going because he's got unbelievable balance. Like, for Justin, he was just running and people would hit him, and it was like he didn't even break stride. It was really trippy to see. Like, it's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, but it's like he wasn't affected by tackles.
Yeah, that's what I was like. He's creating bad tackles with how he's running. It's almost insane.
It's weird. Like, I've never. Yeah, it's like there was all these high school kids. And you know, there's different films that we've seen over the years, because these higher level high school or higher level Division I prospects, when they are playing high school, there are some people that just don't need to be out there with them. But, like, I mean, some of these kids, like, legitimately didn't stand a chance, and it's just like, it was kind of funny. A couple other things that I love seeing is, and I know this is maybe going to sound a little weird, I love seeing the screen game. I don't see a ton of, well, I personally am not probably watching a ton of high school running back film, but I don't see a ton of screenplays a lot. And that's one thing that is big in Heupel's offense. And I thought he ran them well. Like, I thought he was patient, kind of showed the little fake stock block, run around, got him, good hands. And, like, people are like, oh, wow, like, sweet, great hands on a screenplay. Like, no, that's important. Like, like, have you seen some of these running backs like try to catch a screen pass and it just looks super, super awkward? Hence the best running back in the world, Derrick Henry. Like his first couple years, he looked like a robot trying to run some of these screens. And even when the ball's in the air, sometimes I'm still worried he's not going to catch it. But so it's like as a high school kid, for him to kind of have that poise and to run good screens. And then the last thing I want to talk about him or say, like, if he has good vision, which it's kind of hard to know if he's got good vision in high school because he's probably just hitting the hole and taking off and faster than everybody. But if he can get down his pass pro and his visions are good, this kid's going to play early, which is not even a hot take or a long shot because, I mean, did you guys see the amount of running backs that we played this year? Yeah. So if this kid comes in, or even same thing with Dylan Sampson, who I love because he's got speed for days as well, like those guys are going to have a chance to be an impact early.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think he does have great vision. With what I saw, just being able to set up his blockers, like you said, on the screens, like that is a skill in and of itself that a lot of people don't even talk about. It's like you have to set up your blocks. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been just ticked off because a running back runs past me on a screen. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, no one's gonna catch you. Just slow down a little bit. Let me get up to speed. Like, I know I'm not as fast as you, but let me help you out.
Big boy's a little bit longer to get going.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought he did. Yeah, I thought he was great. I honestly like him more than Dylan Sampson.
Really?
Yeah, and then we can jump to Dylan now because just like stay in those running back group. But what do you have on Dylan?
I mean, speed. And that's one of that's the first, when we first signed him, that was one of the first things that I had talked about. Like, you know, I still think he's a good quality running back. I think they're a little bit similar. One thing I didn't look at for these two guys is like their stats, because it's just kind of like, I'm assuming they just put up millions of yards or whatever.
Everyone does in high school.
Exactly, especially at the running back. But I mean, I still thought that he had a good balance at times. You know, so like pretty similar for me. I would like to hear what you say about, you know, the difference on for your end.
Yeah, I was impressed with his speed, but my thing was that was it. Like watching his film, I was like, there's speed, but what else is there? Because he was just outrunning everybody, and it was like, I don't see the necessary like breaking down a dude and juking him out, or running over somebody, or having a lot of fight and breaking through tackles, or just amazing vision. It was like, here's a play where I bounced at the outside and just outran everybody. And it was like that over and over. And there was like multiple plays where he wasn't even touched. And it's like, if you're not touched, how can I can't judge you off that. Like if you have a 59-yard touchdown, you weren't touched, I'm more impressed with the offensive line than you.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. Hey, if he can bounce outside and run past people at the next level, like that's all we need to see. But I get what you're saying for the purpose of watching his film. It's just like, it's just.
I just don't. It's not to say that he's a bad player. It's just I don't know. Like I can't tell what he's good at, what he's not good at. All I can tell is he's fast as heck.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna take speed all day. And he's coming from Louisiana, so I don't know the division that he played in. I'm guessing it's pretty good. But that's kind of where I was at with him. We broke him down on an earlier pod, and I just remember really liking him. And I'm always going to love some speed. Always. It is a little weird, like that. I feel like we don't even really have like a bruiser. I mean, I know the fans freaking love D with it.
Old D Beckwith.
Like they're salivating at the mouth for D Beckwith to get on the field. And Lenith Whitehead like runs pretty hard. He runs pretty straight up. He kind of runs stiff. Like he runs hard, but I don't think he's as talented as Jabari or Jalen Wright or whatever. But yeah, we still don't have that bigger guy. So They didn't bring in and don't get me wrong, Justin Williams is compact. Like he looks good, but he's not a 6'2", 218, 210 looking guy. But and I want to say this, matter of fact, I'll use this to wrap up. Never mind. I kind of dived into some of the stuff, but I'll use that afterwards. I was going to go. Are you done with Dylan Sampson?
Yeah. I'm good with that. I agree with you with the bruiser thing. I think people are just like so intrigued by running back who can run over somebody. Like it's like a cool thing to see, but that's not necessarily Heupel's offense. You understand what I'm saying? Like if we ran a Tennessee Titans offense and it was 7 yards behind and get a full head of steam when we run and pass when we have to, love it. Would love D-back with back there, but like it's not the same.
I still wouldn't mind having a nice little like I said, a 6'1", 6 foot, 220, just for a change of pace, and you have him at running back on one of those third ones with Hendon having a chance to pull it. But it's just, I don't know, D-Beck with might show up this year and give the fans what they want so they can stop creaming their pants for him. But I don't know, it's just a little weird because we kind of have all the same type of backs. I mean, these Dylan and Justin are a little bit bigger than Jabari, and they're probably, maybe slightly bigger than Jalen Wright. Maybe Dylan's not, but
yeah, Dylan is right in line with everyone else. I think
180, 185. I think.
Yeah, he's like 5'9", so he's gonna look exactly like him. I think Justin being 6 foot, 200, like he's gonna look a little bit bigger.
Agreed. I got Tyree West is somebody that I wanted to go ahead and talk about. This was a guy that I was excited about on signing day because I'm out and about doing different stuff, but I'm in my Vols watch party text chain. And so I knew those guys were going to be like texting like, oh my God, we just got this person, or holy crap, like this loser just decommitted, or like whatever the case may be. And so I see Tyree West's name come up. I'm like, okay, now I'm excited to watch this guy. Of course, I love that he's a defensive lineman. Bring me all the O-line, D-line, edge rushers that we can get. So I go back and I watch him. 6'3", 280. He has a very, very good offer list. He was like funny because you went to his Twitter and it said in his header, it said at Georgia football, but yet he was picked between Florida State and us, I guess, is what it came down to it. But 6'3", 280, good offer list. He's athletic. The one other thing that I noticed and I hate saying this because I'm not comparing him to this guy at all, like literally at all. I'm just saying because of the move that they use. I personally have not seen this out of a high schooler, and I have not really. You don't really see it much anymore in this type of way. But the Reggie White like shrug off one arm punch because go ahead.
The hump move. That's what it was called. Where he fake outside and then stick his inside arm underneath the armpit and lift the offensive lineman. Like it was called the hump.
Oh, the hump. Yes. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Yeah, I remember on Mike and Mike back in the day, Mike Golick talking about the hump. So I don't see it often, but like one of the first two plays, I see Tyree West come off and he does it and just kind of bodies the guy. And I'm like, that's funny. Like I haven't seen that in a while. I thought that he had good hustle. That
was what I was most impressed with.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of running down the line or following guys, like not even running down the line of scrimmage, but like actual pursuit. And when he got there, he brought the wood. Like he made sure to let people know that he was there and to fill in. But I liked him. But here's the thing: is like I wasn't in awe. So that's just me. Like when I hear like 4-star blue chip, like good guy, like. I mean, I'm hoping to sit there and watch him just absolutely mangle people. And I thought he was really good. Like I said, he ran well. He's got a little nasty to him. Looks like he's got some moves. They moved him inside and outside, which is nice. And I think he's going to be a good player for us. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, I wasn't at all. Like, I wasn't like, oh, my gosh, yes, I can't wait for this guy to get on the show anyways. But that's.
I think he is rated where he is and has the offers that he has because of his potential. not necessarily because he's ready now. Like, there are those guys where it's like, this guy could go to the dang NFL next year. He's that ready. But with him, he's 280 pounds. They had him at D end a good amount. So he's like stuck between that defensive tackle, defensive end size. But he shows flashes of effort, chasing wide receivers downfield, trying to make tackles, like just putting in extra work. He shows aggressiveness. Like you said, loves lay the wood when he gets there. I mean, he wants people to feel him. So you take that into account, take the fact that he's 280, and you're like, if I get him here and get him to 300, because you look at him, he's lean. Like, he's a lean 280. He's not a fat 280, so he can put on another 20 pounds and be fine and still have a decent amount of speed like he showed. And then it's like, holy crap. Like, imagine what this guy can do in a weight room with a little more weight to him. He can be a really good player. So I think that's what it is. It's like more potential than it is he's ready now.
Yeah, sometimes, honestly, like when they're wrecking folks in high school, like it's just because of the division they're playing in. So, and nothing against him. I'm just saying, like, that's just what I saw. And, but anyways, like, I liked him. Obviously, I'm never going to turn down, a blue chip 4 or 5 star, or even a 3-star that I think has, really good potential. So, but no, I was fired up about him. So obviously it sounds like you like him as well.
Yeah, I do. It's almost like the off the field or character or like effort stuff impresses me more than everything else. It's like the fact that you care about playing football, that like you love to play football, and the fact that like it doesn't matter if like I'm going to be tired on this play, I'm still going to give full effort. That's what like really impresses me, and he showed that because I've seen 5 stars, 4 stars who are just freak athletes who can do whatever they want, but then they don't chase after the ball on the defense player, or they don't run like the hardest route they could as a wide receiver, where it's like, well, you could have ran past that guy and you wouldn't have to do the jump ball, but you decided to run slow and had to jump ball for, like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So
I will always, always, always appreciate and love and be excited about, especially since we're talking about D-line effort. Like if I see effort, and I will say for the first couple of these guys, or at least like a lot of the defensive guys, it looked like they just love ball, bro. Like they looked like they were getting fired up with their team, like they were getting fired up, like stuff like that. So like, and I hope that's the case. And I do think that that's one thing that like this staff does want. It sounds cliche, but like it matters. Like I know for a fact the teams that I've been on and people are playing just because what football gives them compared to people that like you and I, like we just love it. Like I will literally go play out in the backyard right now because I just love the game. Like it's so enjoyable and fun. And like, that's a big difference. Like that's something even John Robinson, the Titans talk about. Like they're investing money and time and effort. They want people that are about the game and not about what the game brings them. So, and I don't know for sure about these kids, but that's one thing, like when I see on film, I'm like, all right, well, I'm hope like he looks like he's out there having fun. He's getting fired up. Like hopefully he loves the game because, when it gets to college, man, it's hard. It's hard work. It is hard work. It's a full-time job.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you really have to, it's different. Okay. Do you want to stay in the D-line range and talk about some more of those guys, or maybe want to jump to someone else?
No, we can jump. I'm fine either way. If you want to jump, we can go ahead and talk about. So our other two, I would say like blue chippers, which I was obviously very excited about. But you go ahead and hit me with your James Pierce, and then I'll jump in. And then after James, we'll go to Double J, Joshua Joseph.
Okay. We got James Pierce. Yes. Dude, I like James Pierce a lot. I like his size, his length, long arms. He knows how to play the run too, which a lot of times you don't see in defensive ends. Like they're just all like, "Oh, where's the pass reps? Like, where's the 3rd and 10?"
Or you say you're talking about James Pierce?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they're like, "Where's the 3rd and 10?" That's when I want to make my money, but not necessarily caring about 1st and 10. And I think he does. I think he uses his length and really like stabs offensive linemen, which I like. I mean, talk about bringing the wood. You said earlier, he's trying to kill people. Like, I think it was like the second play of his highlight, he literally decapitated that quarterback. And he has a ton of moves. Like, if people were watching like his actual pass pro, I saw a swim, I saw a push-pull, I saw a dip underneath, I saw a chop. I saw multiple things that he's working on in his pass pro, which is I saw a bull rush. Like, that's what I like to see out of a pass rusher, because a lot of times, because they're so much more athletic or just so much more freaks of other guys,
and they just do this.
Yeah, and they don't work on anything. They just run past them, and that's it. And they never work on their craft or anything like that. And it's like, then once you get to the next level, you're slacking because you didn't work on that stuff. You're not concentrating on offensive lineman's hands, when he's punching him, faking him out, where his hips are, all that kind of stuff. So I think it was just awesome to see that he had multiple moves when he was doing pass rush. And like you had just said earlier, guys getting fired up while they're out there. Like, he's one of them. Like, he loves to play football. Like, he loves to freaking knock people out, which is exactly what you need as a defensive player.
It was him. It was Tyree West. It was Joshua Joseph. It was some of those guys that, like, I really enjoyed watching. So, first off, when I turned the film on, I was like, I mean, length for days. He looks skinny. He looks really skinny.
Well, he is kind of, because he's 6'5" and he's only 220. Like, I would love him to play at 245, 250-ish.
Agreed. Yes, agreed. And the thing is like, college coaches love, when I was talking about speed, another thing they love is like frames, speed and frames. And like, so you might look like you can just like, you guys that look good, they're not necessarily overall heavy, but like they've got the cuts and they've got the good body structure and they got good length. And it's just a good frame to put body on. Like, that's besides speed, they love that type of stuff. And the same thing with like offensive linemen, like hands and feet. Like, they're like, they could see a guy for offensive line that's like, 6'5", 270. And they're like, no, 270, who cares? He's got great feet and great hands. Like, we'll get him to 315 easy.
Hands, fast feet, big butt, long arms.
Yeah. And so it's like there's different stuff that they're looking for. But when I watch this, one thing that you did mention that I caught immediately, and I was waiting to see if you said it, they would play him inside some.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying necessarily like, I mean, I thought low man wins, and sometimes for him it's going to be hard to just, obviously he's not going to be playing inside. I'm just saying, like, I like that they did that, and it's hard for him to stay low, but I thought he really brought a punch. Like, I was more like, oh wow, watching him than maybe Tyree West. At the point of attack with a blocker, not necessarily like when Tyree West got to the ball carrier, like I was like, okay, yeah, dude's bringing a little something. Like he's got a little nasty to him, which is what I want. But like James was just like heavy hands, taking on blocks, playing inside, playing outside. And like you said, like he was using a bunch of different stuff to make it happen. So like for me, I was pretty impressed. And, 6'5", 220 with a great offer list with all the big time schools. Explosion with a little bit of versatile. Like I thought it was awesome. So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have stuff on this, but I do want to talk about Jordan Phillips too, because I don't know if we have before.
We did
before. I was just watching his film again, and the reason why you made me think of it, I was just watching his film again, like that first initial punch and get off. Buddy, I mean, his get off of the ball is insane. Jordan Phillips. Now, we don't have to like dive deep into him, but he sets the new line of scrimmage. Like, he sets it 1 to 2 yards back, which I was like, oh crap! Like, watching that, like, that's exactly what you need to do as a defensive lineman. And he's already got the body type at 300 pounds. It's like this is more of like a ready now. Like, watching his film, I was like, why is he a 3-star? Like, why is he not higher?
When he first committed, we talked about him, and I really liked him. I thought he had a good offer list. He was coming from down there in Florida. If I'm not mistaken, because going back and watching stuff on him, this was back in the spring or summer, I think. So I don't remember, but there was a connection that he had with something up here because he was a Florida boy, but like good offer list. And like, I just remember watching him and just liking everything about him. Like, it was just a very solid, good sized kid. Like, just like you said, reset the line of scrimmage. But did you see the picture that already came out about him? Because he's already on campus. Like, dude already looks like ready to go. Like, put him in the ball game.
Yeah, exactly. Like if he's balling out of practice, let's play him.
I don't even. Yeah, are they even allowed to play? By the way, it's hilarious. Like, your camera is completely frozen. I just see a picture of your face and it's frozen, but I can still. Oh, and there you go. There you go. I can hear your face was just like.
No, yeah, it's because I'm listening to you. I'm just paying attention. I don't know if they can or not. I don't think they can.
I was about to say I don't think they can either, but that'd be hilarious if they.
But going through practice is good for him.
Oh, it's amazing for him. Yeah, it's great. It's great for him, and he looked good. I mean, that picture of him looked really good. So, but yeah, I was a big fan of him. So I'm fired up. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our next edge rusher. And what do you have for me on Double J, Joshua Joseph?
Super lanky. First, pops out. Which he plays aggressive. I thought he was a good run defender. I thought, that's like I said with Pierce, is just like something I'm concerned about when I look at defensive ends. He needs to put some weight on for sure. I just don't think that he can do it at 220. And he needs to put his hand in the dirt. Like, I think it was almost every snap he was standing up. I'm like, you're not gonna be able to do that, but like, I need to see more out of you that's not just one-sided. And I don't know if a lot of either coaches in high school or players in high school understand that they need to show some versatility. And you cannot look the exact same way before every single play and do the exact same thing. Like, I need to see something else. I need to be able to know that, hey, maybe you can go out in the flats and cover a running back on a little bubble. Maybe you can, drop back in covers once or twice. Maybe you can defend the run. You can take on a puller. You can get around a double team of a tackle and running back on pass pro. Like, I need to see multiple things, and I do think that some of these guys, they only put like one specific kind of play on their highlight tapes. But that's not to say he's a bad player. I still liked him. I thought he played aggressive and, like I said, good run defender. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, no, Kyler, Double J, yes, a lot like James Pierce. It's kind of like the little Twin Towers, the little tag team boys coming in, 2 edge guys. So, like I've already said, good offer list, plays physical, plays explosive, uses his hands pretty well, good effort, good knack for the ball. Like, as we move down this list and start talking about some other people, you kind of see why Pierce and Double J were 4 stars, why they had some of the offers they did compared to some of these other individuals. And it is the physical tools, it is the frames, but they're just they're different quality of athlete. If you look at stats, each people can have different stats, and each person has 10 sacks or 5 tackles for a loss or whatever. But then when you sit back and watch how they did it, like, sometimes there's just a different brand of athlete that's doing it. But I'm very excited about both those edge guys, and I'm so fired up that we got both of them with Tyree West, like, kind of late in the thing to show that this coaching staff can close on a couple of those guys. And it's just really, really big time.
And it's awesome just to see. I mean, I feel like it's just like such a hell yeah, we have Rodney Garner kind of thing, because it's like you get the Tyree West. We already talked about Jordan Phillips and how impressed we were with him. And then both these edge guys, it's like, dude, Like, he's bringing in really good players. They might not be the 5 stars and everybody thinks that, you know what I mean? But like,
Sure.
these are very good guys. I don't think in any way, you know, they're major drop offs off some of the, you know, guys that other teams are getting. Like, obviously, like Walter Nolan is an amazing player, and there's a reason like he's number 2 in the nation. But I wouldn't say that, like, I think he's more ready right now, but I wouldn't say that like Tyree West's potential can't be where Walter Nolan ends up. Like, I think he could still be just as good of a college player.
I was going to go the whole podcast without saying his name, but you ruined that. Thanks a lot. I get why you were using him though as example. All right. I don't want to talk about that loser. Okay. I might have to bring him up towards the end when I kind of wrap everything up, but we're going to continue to talk fast because we got a decent amount of people to get through.
All right. So sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation, but we have a new ad. This is Lightbox. So say goodbye to dull gifts. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the greatest gift of the year. Using cutting-edge technology and innovative techniques, they've cracked the science of sparkle, creating the highest quality lab-grown diamonds that you can find at a light price, $800 per carat. They have the same chemical makeup of natural diamonds, but just are grown in a lab. Because of their process, they can create stones in blush pink and beautiful blue, as well as classic white. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the gift they'll never want to take off. Priced so they won't have to. They really do make any outfit sparkle. So visit lightboxjewelry.com to add sparkle to your holiday shopping. That's lightboxjewelry.com. Lightbox diamonds. Never a dull moment.
I want to go ahead and talk about Caleb Webb, receiver, 6'2.5", 6'3", 185. We pulled him in. And a lot of these guys that we pulled in later or on actual early signing day, or as you say, national signing day or whatever, it just keeps this. I keep doing the hand movement like I did last podcast. Like, you always want to keep the trajectory of the program up. And I mean that whether it's with recruiting, transfer portals, and that's getting guys or not losing guys, or if it's we go and compete well in the bowl game, or, just little things that a player or coach does that continues good. You don't want to give people any chance at all to write any sort of negative article, because we want everything to be continuing the trajectory to go up because it helps build the program. So I was happy. I say all that to say Caleb Webb was one of those guys. He picked us. He was a 4-star. Offer list was a little weird. And some of these guys we're about to get into, like, the offer list was a little weird. Like, his biggest ones were UT and Michigan. And so it's kind of like, whatever. Like I said, he has good size. He uses his hands well, but he looks like he's like a zero route guy, kind of like he's just a go guy. And it's just like he'll either take the top off on just a streak or a post, which, don't get me wrong, if you can do that and you do it well, and especially after seeing what Heupel did this past season with Cedric Tillman and VJ on the slot shots, and then our boy Javonte Payton, like, bro, if you can do it, you're going to have an opportunity. You just run by him and we're going to throw it up to you. I would have maybe liked to have seen a little bit more run after the pass, or some of these different. I saw like one drag route and he got like 12 yards on it, but that's okay. That's okay, because I think it's a compliment of this class. Like, I'm pretty high on Chase Nimrod, that people, I think he could be a very solid college receiver. But then you talk about my dude who I love, Squirrel White, who's going to be able to probably do it all. And if everything that people are talking about is that he got a late push from Georgia and he stayed with us. And then Cam Miller. Cam Miller's kind of like a CP in a way, like, just get the guy the ball. Like, we talked about him already. But in some of his stuff, like, they were just handing him the rock. So it's like, I think Caleb is a very good compliment to all those guys. You got your deep shot guy. You got your guy that can do it all, get you a first down on 3rd and 6 with Squirrel White. You got a guy who you can throw a screen route to, and he's going to bully people like Cam Miller, and then Chase Nimrod, who can maybe do a little bit of all things. I thought Chase did a really good job, like body control, catching out routes, deep digs. Like he just kind of did it all. So for me, finally I saw Caleb go up and catch an end zone jump ball, which is nice. And then, but I think that's what he is. And I think he's just a good compliment to the other guys we have on roster or in the recruiting class or on roster.
Yeah, I think, like you said, he's a long strider. Like he doesn't even look like he's moving that fast, but he's just so lanky. Like he gets it going. He's not afraid to get hit at all. I mean, he still comes down with those balls. He's diving for balls going across the middle. Like you don't see a lot of wide receivers who are just like, yeah, I'll take the hit. Like no big deal. That safety coming. I mean, maybe that plays into his size. Like he knows he's bigger than those guys. And he's like, I don't care if you hit me. But I like what you said, where it's like you have a little bit of everything with all of these guys. I thought Chase Nimrod had great like breakaway speed, where it's like, okay, now I need to hit that gear and get out of here, which is awesome to see. The speed of Squirrel White is just crazy. I mean, that's where I'm like, is his competition that bad, or is he just really that fast? Like, it is insane how just he takes off. Like, no one can even touch him. And because of that, they just have him running go routes all the time or little screens. And I wish I could see more of like actual route running out of him, because they don't. Yeah, because they just don't. There's no need for them to do that. There's no need for them to run like a little hitch or like a dig or like they're just like, hey, go. Like you're gonna be fast. You're gonna run past safety every time.
Well, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot with Caleb and Chase Nimrod and Squirrel. I mean, I feel like Cam Miller did that too. But I mean, like I said, for Cam Miller, they put him at running back sometimes, just hand him the rock.
Yeah.
So,
and another thing I liked about Chase too is he high points the ball. Like he goes up and gets.
Yes, he does. Yeah, I remember
Um,
when we talked about him the first time. I remember like there was that one like deep post that he had, and he went up and bodied some guys and caught it. So I actually I like Chase when we first signed him, and on like multiple pods back when we signed him, we talked about him. Like I actually really like Chase.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't realize about Squirrel, because I knew he was like a smaller guy, but it says he's like 5'11".
Yeah.
And 155. That makes me feel somewhat like even better that like he can put on 15 pounds.
Yeah, he's not 5'8", 5'9", 5'10". Yeah.
Yeah, like he can put on 15 pounds and be still the same speed and get a little strength to him. So like that's awesome. Like I thought for sure, like, oh, this is a 5'8" guy who's 155 and just super fast, like Tyreek Hill. Right. Like that's what I thought. But
right,
he's got some room to put weight on, which is awesome to see. And I like what you said was just like everything, like we're hitting all of the different things that we could have. But I don't know if Cam Miller, because when I was watching the film, I don't know if his competition was just that bad.
I don't think they were good, but I don't think they're good, but I still think I think he did what he was supposed to do against that competition. He's still a bigger guy too. But for me, with all four of these guys, I think they're going to have a chance to come in and potentially. I actually think pretty much anybody in a recruiting class for UT this year or next year, like if you're good enough, you're going to have a chance to compete at certain positions because of how many we rotate. But if you come in at this receiver class and you just catch the rock and be where you're supposed to be, like you're going to have a chance to play. Like Jalen Hyatt, we thought was going to be a breakout player this year. He did not play because of either being banged up some or a lot of drops. And so what did we say they did? Like after Callaway dropped that rock, like, bro, I don't even know if that guy's even in Knoxville anymore. Like I'm joking, like, but I'm just saying, like, I never saw Callaway again. And it's like, as long as these guys come in and know what they're supposed to do and show that they can catch the rock, they will still get some snaps. And then when you get those snaps, if you do something with them, like I would be honest. If we take all four of these guys and I'm just looking at them physically, if they pick up the offense, for me, I would see Squirrel White probably playing first. And then because Caleb's kind of that Cedric Tillman-ish, but then like I think Chase Nimrod like sits for. He's the type of guy I feel like he sits for a year or two, and then he comes out and he's just like a really good all around receiver, possession guy, out routes, dig routes. And then Cam Miller, like I don't know more about him. I'm more excited because like I could see him being like a returner, or they give screens to him because he's a bigger guy. But like I would say Squirrel's the guy that I could see playing more right away. And then Caleb replacing Tillman and and then Nimrod or Miller kind of replacing that Velus Jones or like Javonte Payton type.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Chase would play quicker than Caleb, honestly. Like in my opinion, I just like Chase more. I think he's a better
more
wide receiver.
ready.
Like I think he has more to his game. But what I really want out of Squirrel is like for him to be like our Kadarius Toney.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Earlier I said it. We need the 3rd and 6. How does he not beat them? Beat the one-on-one coverage or find a spot in zone.
But dude, are you put him in the slot? Are you kidding me? He will freaking whoop a linebacker trying to cover him.
Yeah,
it would be gross.
Yeah.
Okay. How about we move into some DBs?
Yes, I want to talk about. I am so fired up. This is the one guy I started out and I didn't know anything about, but I want to talk about Desmond Williams, the JUCO kid. Okay, 5'11", 190, good size. I'm just going to be honest. I loved everything about him. Not a great offer list at all. But
I did too. I loved it all.
I mean, I would say him and Squirrel are like two of my favorites in this class so far. But like with Desmond, he attacks the ball super well. He literally looks like he could be a receiver the way he high points the ball, the way he attacks it. He not only went up and caught one where he high pointed and jumped it and kind of jumped around. He also had the one where he was running with the receiver falls off. And if you're watching on YouTube, he goes up and kind of catches it over the shoulder like a cradle catch. Like really good hands. Dude's a punt returner. He ran really well, scored a touchdown on another one. He almost scored, but ran hard. Good athlete, good feet, good balance. The one that I was waiting to see on defense, I was like, all right, let me see you make a tackle. Let me see you get off a block. I never saw him get off a block, but I saw him have some of those like get me fired up, Reed Bacon tackles where you come in and you freaking shoot your gun and you slide in and make a nice submarine tackle. Like it's that CBS 3:30 game. It's a 3rd and 7. They throw a guy out there. You see it, trust your eyes, shoot the gun, and you ride in, slide, hit the tackle, hit him with the flex, and then and then Gary Danielson's like, that's a big stop. And then it's like going to timeout, and they do the slow-mo, and it's like him getting up and like flexing after that. Like that's what I picture for him. Like on those tackles, like that's what I love.
I love your entire story. You're going in your head. That is exactly what would happen.
That's what I envision. Like I'm watching us on a 3:30 game. It's next year Florida's here, so I'll be there. But we'll say like another game that's an away game, and like a Georgia game, and he slides in, makes a tackle, and Gary's like, "Hold on, Tennessee's not quite done yet," and then I have to like scurry to the bathroom real quick to come back. But so I like it. And then the 2 block kicks that I saw, like I think they were PATs, but like dude's giving effort, dude's trying. Obviously, he loves ball. Like he's competing on those downs. Like I'm telling you, for a 3-star at a JUCO with a sketchy offer list, like I loved everything I saw. Oh, and last thing, I saw all the jump balls. I saw all the punts. I wanted to see him turn his hips a couple times. And he turned his hip. He flipped his hips twice on one play that you're never supposed to do that as a DB because you're told if they break you and you have to turn your hips mid, like you're done. But he literally opens, flips, and then flips again and is still in position to make the play. So obviously you see me, I'm getting excited. Like I loved everything I saw from him.
Yeah, I did too. I wrote down everything that you just said. Like shoots the gun on the tackles, a great returner, crazy ball skills, and he's not getting beat deep. Like the way he.
Oh! Hold on. Let me say that I'm so happy you said because the plays that the guy was behind him, he caught up well with his speed. He caught up well with his competition, meaning like he was there, he was fighting for the ball, he got his hands out, and he still knocked it away. Sorry. So I even like that about him.
Yeah. And it's like some of those, I almost think he like slow played it to possibly get
he
an
did.
interception or bat the ball down. Like
on the INTs, he definitely slow played some of them.
Like, go ahead and throw it. Come on. Like, I know you want to. I know you think he's about to run past me. Like, go ahead. So I love that out of him. I think he can be a great player for us. I really am super excited about him.
Also, being a JUCO guy, he might be able to come in and play earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can get in the rotation easily, and I mean that's what we've been struggling with on defense, just depth. Like guys just not getting freaking worn out. And honestly, I mean, he might, like you said, we haven't seen him on any blocks, like with trying to get off blocks, but might be like a good replacement for Theo, just like being in that little nickel spot.
Absolutely.
And covering guys. Cause I mean, he is definitely like a cover corner. And the blocked kicks, like my coaches in college, that's what like all the offensive coaches go, how good of a player, how good a defensive player is with the amount of effort he puts on field goal. Cause that's like, or PAT, that more specifically, because like you just let up a touchdown, like you're making it 99% of the time. A lot of guys are just like, whatever. Like they're just like pissed that they gave up a touchdown. Who is the one who like snaps and clears and gets up there and is like, hell, I'm not going to let him get one more point. And like, those are the guys you got to be careful and watch out for as an offensive player. So he shows that. He's like, you ain't getting free points on me. Like, I don't give a crap who you are. So I love that. And then, some of the other guys like Jordan Thomas. I don't know if you watched him, but you would love him. He comes up and lays the wood. He talks shit. He's ball conscious, like plays where he's coming up from that safety position and just laying people out. Like he laid this dude out on the sidelines once and just stood over him, just immediately got in his grill. And all I thought was you. I was like, dude, Reed would absolutely love that. And then there was plays where like guy was wrapped up and he's not going to make the tackle. So what does he do? He comes in and rips the ball out and returns it for a touchdown. Like he's just always like, where's that ball? Like, can I get it out? Can we cause a fumble? And I feel like there's a lot of defensive players who aren't necessarily thinking about that. They're just thinking about the tackle. And it's like, hey, sometimes getting turnovers is way better for your team. So like, let's try for that. And then Christian Harrison, which we've kind of talked about, but like, I love Christian Harrison. I really do. I think he has great smooth hips. I think he can flip really well. I think he plays the ball well, just like Desmond does. They both could be wide receivers if they wanted to. Like they have good hands, and he's not allowing easy catches. Christian is a guy who, if he is beat, he's going to get back to you and knock the ball down as you're trying to complete the catch.
Right. That's what I saw out of Desmond. Yes.
Yeah. Which is like, you don't give up on the play. You're going to keep going. So I'm excited about all three of those guys. I think they're going to be great defensive backs for us.
I love Desmond and I like the other two. It was funny when we did the podcast when I was up in Plymouth and I made a comment literally that night. I was sitting in the hotel room and Christian had just announced. And I said, well, the one thing I love about this is his dad, like even getting pub or this. And literally that night they opened or like did an opening with him where it was not Chris Collinsworth, but his son, maybe Jackson. I forget what Chris Collinsworth's name, his son's name is, but they go to Rodney and they're like, hey, it's a big night for you guys, big time in the Harrison household. And he's like, yeah. And they showed the UT and all that stuff. It was like, oh, and then of course, like, it was funny that I just said it and then 30 minutes later it happens. And then everyone on Twitter like videos it and tweets it out and gets like 9 gajillion retweets. And I'm like, all right, Reed, well, maybe if you weren't lazy and just, would have tweeted it out, it could have helped grow the podcast. But no, but I thought he was very fluid as well. There was a lot of times where they left him out on an island and I liked it. And something that I will always respect. If I could sit here and watch a highlight tape of a corner and it's 2 minutes long, and everything is either getting off blocks and big hits, interceptions, stuff like that. Like, I'm going to love it. That's awesome. But what I want to see is when you are beat, and it's because either you had your eyes in the wrong place or you maybe stumbled a little bit, you stumbled a little bit. Because as a defensive back, and as a defensive back that when I was at Memphis, as a guy there who was honestly maybe the slowest guy in the entire corners and safeties room, and the only reason that I could halfway compete with some of those guys is because of where I put myself in position, or how I try to play smart, or how I had my instincts. But there's nothing more demoralizing than when you know that you're beat, even if it's by a step, and you see the ball in the air. And it's this, I swear to you guys, it is this mental clarity that you have for it's like when life slows down, like you're in the slow mode, like you're in the twilight zone, and you literally turn and you're like, I'm beat. And there's just a natural reaction to just be like, well, for me sometimes, because I'm so competitive, I just I feel so bad. But it's like that clarity where you're like, no, bro, you're not fast, but keep running, get a hand up, because you never know what's going to happen. And that was one of those things that, like I said, I could watch a highlight video and they're making tackles and they're getting off blocks and they're making picks. But I want to see when you get beat, because it's going to happen, how you react. And like I said, that's what I liked about Desmond. I saw a little bit of that. I trust that, Christian's going to do that. And so that's what I want out of DBs. And that's why we're talking about all of them, but that's why I love Desmond so much, because it's just like, bro, you got to keep playing. You got to keep playing the game. What if it's not a clean catch and you hustled and you were able to just get a hand in there or save a touchdown tackle or whatever? But for me, for Jordan Thomas, good size, 6'2", 190, very average offer list again. And to be honest, I think a reason for a lot of these average offer lists, and I'm going to talk about it and kind of make it, but when we get to Elijah Herring, the next guy I'm going to talk about, you see the difference in him athletically and the difference in Double J and James Pierce off the edge, with their speed and their length and their size. And I feel like as Tennessee, Jordan Thomas is a good player. But to get the Florida DBs of the past, the LSU DBs of the past, the Alabama DBs, we still need another level of athlete. Not to say that Jordan Thomas, I didn't like what I saw, but I could see him being another Trey Flowers, Tank McCall, a very steady player. I don't see him being a dog, but I do love how he played. I respected him getting the most out of him. Still good sized kid, still good athlete. He was in position well on a tip ball to make a play. He definitely brought the wood. On kickoff, it showed him murder a kid. If you're one of the best players on your team, you don't think that you're on kickoff, and he goes down there and absolutely sets the tone. Like you said, he brought some swagger about him. He let.
Dude, I was watching that film. I was like, why aren't they blocking this guy?
Yeah.
There was places they didn't even touch him. Y'all are idiots.
Yeah. And so it was and I don't know his level of competition, because some of it watching, I didn't know the other team did not look like the most stellar of talent, but I'm still not going to knock you, bro. If you're bringing the wood and you're about that attitude and you're bringing it and you're playing well. So I'm intrigued for I'm so excited for you and I to go to spring practice this year, because now, last year when I went to spring, I was kind of I just want to see the team as a whole. And there was a few players I wanted to see, but now I feel like I'm in this recruiting class. And since it was we went last year and I watched all year and I did this podcast, so now I know more of the guys on the team. But
we didn't
now
know anybody, dude. We didn't know anybody.
No, I didn't either.
That was all new people.
Yeah, exactly. So you and I went and we're all right, I guess we'll watch for the quarterbacks. And then me, I wanted to go look at the linebackers, because I knew we didn't have any. And then when we went to fall camp, it was a little bit easier. But I'm legitimately excited. I want to go see Jordan Thomas. I'm very excited to go see Desmond. I want to see Christian Harrison. So it's I feel like I'm going to be even better when we go back, because now I know these kids, and now I've even have a remote idea, because you and I didn't care about recruits. We didn't keep up with that stuff. So I'm going to jump into Elijah Herring. Okay, 6'2", 6'3", 230. Ravenwood's fine. They're a good school and a good program for Tennessee. but like you can see why he has the very average offer list, like pretty good offers, but it's like you don't see the pop off the line with him, with whether it's his explosion or whatever. Now he still plays physical, he still competes, he still gives good efforts. I thought he did a really good job taking on blocks. I thought he did a really good job making the play when it was there. Like he brings wood, like he had a couple nice strip sacks, like he played the run well, like he, I thought he played well. Like I thought he was a very good high school player. And I could see him coming to Tennessee and sitting for a year or two, and then as a junior or senior, like being a good role player for Tennessee, like being a good depth and role player and making some plays. I don't know, like if he is going to be athletically limited a little bit, but I definitely still think he's going to be a good quality, whether it's depth, whether it's, like I said, junior and senior year after he's been in the program for a while. And the other thing about it is too, like I hate saying this, but like it's great to have him on the team because his brother coming next year, who's a bigger, more physical athlete, is the number one player in the state. And so it's like kind of nice that we have his brother on scholarship because you want to, hopefully get his brother next, get the younger brother next year.
Well, I think the sad part about Elijah, and like you said, I think he's playing out of position. Like he's not playing outside. He really looks like he's playing defensive end.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, like I want to see you as an outside linebacker. I want to see you 5 yards back. I want to see you be able to take on some guards coming up to get you. I want to see your coverage.
You want to see him at out linebacker? You said you wanted to see him at outside more compared to DN type deal?
Yeah, like an outside linebacker. Like I want to see you like go out into the flats in coverage. I want to see you possibly like stay with the tight end in the seam. I want to see, you taking on guards off of double teams. I want to see you run fit in a hole. Like that's what I want to see out of, because that's what you're going to do at Tennessee. You're not going to be a defensive end. Like he's just not. It's just he doesn't have that length and skill set like the other guys we talked about. And those guys are going to start at defensive end. So I need you as an outside linebacker. I need to see your coverage skills. I need that kind of stuff. So I don't know if it's just he's more valuable for his high school team at DN.
He kind of looks more like a middle backer, to be honest with you. Like
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, put 20 pounds on him, 6'3", 240, and he's still got some skill, and he's really good at avoidance. Like he's very good at like avoiding blocks.
Yeah, so, he olayed that one buddy like it was a joke.
Like crazy. So it's just like, okay, let's get him at linebacker. I mean, hell, I wouldn't even mind him at middle linebacker, like where you're not really asked to coverage as much, and it's really just like more run fits and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that all day. So I just feel like he's out of position right now. We can't get a true view of his skill set for the position he's going to play for us.
But you saw what I meant by like kind of the lack of.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lack of pop that you see with like Pearson and Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird. It was like I was trying to explain earlier. I don't know if I did a good job of it, but like you put you and I just hypothetically, like, you're what are you now? You're 6'4", 250?
265.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so say if you hypothetically just put both of us on an edge and we're coming off of a blitz, like we both might make the tackle and sack, but it's going to look a hell of a lot different. You know what I mean? Like, so, and that's probably not a good way to put it, but like you can still make the play. It just looks a hell of a lot different.
Yeah.
So when it comes to those other two guys, for me, like I said, I've actually pulled up the iPad here. Like I said, we've talked about Jordan Phillips on this one and in past ones. We've talked about Addison Nichols. You love Addison Nichols. Like you think he's going to step in right away, be a consummate pro type deal.
I think he's a big culture guy.
Yeah. We've talked about Squirrel. We've talked about Chase. We talked about Maurice, LA Clipper, which I liked him. I liked Maurice Clipper when we watched this film the last time. I wasn't as set on Messiah Reddick. You like Messiah Reddick better, but both those guys we've talked about in previous podcasts. If they want to go back and listen to that, the one that we're going to wait and talk about maybe later is Gerald Mincy, because we want to both watch maybe like some actual game film of Florida, and we didn't get to do that. We were watching all these highlights of the high school kids.
Mhm.
But last but not least, bro, if there's no one else you want to talk about, we got to talk about the quarterback.
Before we get into Taven Jackson, I do just want to shout out Brian Grant, because he was a guy that when he committed, I watched the film, we talked about him for a little bit, and I was like, he's just not there. Like, he's a basketball player trying to play football also.
See, I don't even remember talking about him, but that's
exactly.
that's my bad.
He just wasn't there. But I just watched this past season, because all I had was junior tape when he committed. I just watched this past season. Major improvement.
Really?
Like, yes, like feet are so much better. He's more patient in pass pro. He has great balance. Like, there are so many times where he was getting pulled and was staying on his feet, which a lot of linemen struggle with.
Right.
So I'm actually more excited about him, and the fact that he improved in 1 year that much. It makes me excited for the future. Like, oh, so you can improve again over the next year and again the next year. And he, like we said with some of these other guys, he's got the body for it. He's 6'8". Like, get him up to close to 300 pounds and he'll be just like a Joe Staley. Like, that's the kind of body type that really does work at a tackle position. So
yeah, and he played some tight end, didn't he? I'm going to talk about Taven Jackson. Then when you talk about Taven Jackson, I've got these highlights pulled up because now I'm excited to see him. And that's a good point that you make, because a lot of these guys who are higher level, or even like, we'll say even like 3-star guys, 4-star guys, like, you see them 1 year and then the next year they come and they just dominate again. But like, you don't know how much improvement you saw, because it's just too easy for them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
It's just kind of like a joke. Maybe they even get a little bit worse technique wise by their senior year. Like, they're still balling, and like, they could be so big and so good, and all these recruiting guys are still sucking them off and jerking them off, because it's like they're still putting up these numbers. But like, when you really diagnose it, it's like, well, his hands maybe aren't as great, or his feet aren't as great. And like, his junior year, he never got beat for a sack, but maybe his senior year he gave up 2 or 3 because he was so used to dominating, and then he does go up against someone pretty good. And then you see what I'm saying? So it is nice to see that. So I'm excited. I got his highlights pulled up. I'll talk about him when you talk about Taven Jackson. Anyways, obviously I know who Taven Jackson is. I was very, I was like excited when we got him, because everything you read and stuff, like, supposed to be really good. Okay. Good sized kid. I like that he was such an ambassador for Tennessee. Like, he committed pretty early. He like was never wavering. He, whatever.
And he was recruiting for us.
Correct. So good size, good frame. 6'5", 195, could easily get to 6'5", 205, 210, whatever. But I'm going to be honest with you, Kyler. Like, there was some stuff that made me nervous. There was one thing I'm about to say that was my favorite thing I saw about him. And then there was some other stuff that made me like a little bit like kind of nervous. But it was like, I thought his pocket mobility was pretty good. He's not really a mobile guy. He's not really a runner. Like, he can run if he needs to.
I was just about to say, he is a pocket passer who can run. Like, there's different tiers of dual threat, where like, he's not run a read option. He's the best runner you got in the field, but it can also throw. He is a pocket passer, but has mobility.
I would, there you go. And he has mobility. I would not consider him dual threat. But the thing that I liked about his mobility is it wasn't like some of these guys you watch and I'm smiling because you see a guy who's a freak athlete and he drops back and he sees his first read's not there. And then he like has a guy in his hip pocket. And so he starts running out to the sideline and just chucks one deep. What I liked about Taven Jackson is like, he had a guy sidestep, moved, reset his feet. And the number one thing I saw is he kept his eyes downfield all the time. I feel like you don't see that in high school players, and I don't feel like you see it in college players. I feel like a lot of college players, they see something and they maybe step away from it and they're thinking about getting out. I do not think guys reset their feet well and keep their eyes downfield. And it's like, if he was on the move, his eyes were still downfield. And when he saw something he liked downfield, he would make the throw. And if he couldn't make the throw, that's what I'm saying, he would reset. So I thought his pocket mobility was really, really well. And he still got out of the pocket, made some runs, slid, got down. maybe he had a couple running touchdowns that were nice. I like his swag and his moxie and his poise. Like, I do think that stuff is important with a quarterback. Only 3 interceptions as a senior, only 5 picks as a junior. Like, that's pretty good. But here's what came to make me pretty nervous is I was looking at, and I don't look at stats, but for him, I was looking at him because he's a quarterback, and I was expecting him throwing for like 3,000 or 4,000 yards. And I look and it says 4,000 yards. I'm like, oh, that's impressive. Then I realized that was for his entire high school career. And I'm like, that's weird. And then I was like, all right. So then I started looking at his, and he only threw for like 1,900 yards as a senior, and he only averaged 131 passing yards a game. And for me, that was like, what the F? Like, this is because I don't keep up with recruiting. I don't look at this stuff. But I was figuring this dude was out here dropping for like 400, 500 bombs, bro. Like, in high school, when you're a good quarterback, I mean, you got local kids in Knoxville that are out here throwing for 300-400 yards a game. I mean, our dude Chase Cunningham, who was a Catholic, who's now at Mississippi or at Middle Tennessee. Yeah, and he was their starter until he tore his ACL this year. But like, Chase was dropping when he had Amari and Chase Kirshen and Chase Cunningham, that dynamic duo at Catholic, dude, they were throwing up like 400 and 500 yards. So I was just like really weirded out by that. And I don't know how good of the football he was playing in Indiana, because they won state back-to-back years. They didn't lose a game, but like only 130 yards throwing, like that really kind of like was like kind of weird. And it might not matter at all. I'm not trying to make a big deal about it. It was just I caught me way off guard. But the one reason that I'm kind of like still excited about him is because I trust Hype. And I feel like I trust Heupel. I trust his staff. So it's like, I'm not really worried about quarterback, because even if he comes in and sucks, we'll get somebody else that's good. So, but it was weird that I saw that.
Yeah, I trust Heupel too. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. That is very strange. 130 yards. Like, that seems like a game manager kind of numbers, not like
Correct.
A star.
Exactly.
And I don't know what their offense is like. I don't know if they're like, have a really good running back, or they like running with him more, or like
maybe they were
causing that.
Maybe they were killing teams. And he always playing a half. I don't know. Like,
but I agree with what you're saying with Heupel, because it's like no one thought Hendon Hooker was any good. Like, if people watch him at Virginia Tech, he's like, he's an all right quarterback. Like, he's not that great. And then what he's been able to do under Heupel is just like a complete turnaround for him. So
I thought he was above average at Virginia Tech, but I thought it was his running that was what impressed me when I watched his highlight film. I thought his running was good, and then he comes here and he's a baller through the air. And I mean, Tavon Jackson still had some really nice throws downfield, really nice touch on the ball, really good, pretty good accuracy and stuff. But I don't know, I just kind of spooked me right when I saw that. But we'll find out if it matters. I have my recap here. Do you have anything else on any of these players you want to talk about, or?
No, I think we hit everything that I wanted to hit, and hopefully got some good info out to the masses.
Well, let me ask you this just real quick. How do you feel about this overall recruiting class?
I mean, comparing it to other recruiting classes, like in the
hold
past,
on. I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you. I hear it coming. Here comes Karen. So we're about to. So everybody, you guys are gonna have to see my mom. She's coming in. I can hear her talking outside.
We gotta guess the parents by family member.
You keep talking about the thing. I'm gonna go let her in.
Okay. I was saying that it's compared to other classes, this isn't like a top tier, like number one class, but compared to where we were before, and the fact we had nobody, we had transfers gone, all that kind of stuff. Now I'm just talking to you guys because Reed's not on the screen, but that was impressive that he was able to fight his way, like Heupel and all the coaching staff was able to fight their way back and get up in the rankings and get 4 stars and guys that we didn't even think we had a shot at one point. Like, we were so down in the dumps of a recruiting class that it was very impressive that it got to where it is now, and still has some time to, bring in some other guys too. So that is why I was very happy with this.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm glad I got to hear that a little bit. My mom was great. She was able to get in pretty quick and easy. And I thought she was going to start talking to be funny, but I told her, I was like, hey, we need to wrap this up. So It was good that she didn't just blow the pot up. But and the reason I'm out in the kitchen and not in the Chinese restaurants because I was sitting out here because I want to be able to watch the game, the UT Memphis game, while we were talking. But I think it was very, very important how we finished this recruiting class because of the upward trajectory. Like that means more. Like, will Tyree West come in and be really good? Will Double J come in and be really good? Will James Pierce come in and be really good? Like some of these guys that we landed like a little bit later. Will Caleb Webb come in and be really good? I would assume a couple of them are going to be pretty good players. Like just, out of 4 of them, we'll probably say 2 or 3 of them will probably be great. Maybe one of them's a bust or transfers or whatever. But it was all about the upward trajectory. That's what all this stuff is about. Like no one's going to remember if Caleb Webb comes in, doesn't play, and then transfers out like Malachi Wideman or whatever, just for an example, because we'll probably have someone else that's on the field producing. But when it comes to recruiting, you still want that upward momentum. And this showed that our staff was able to close the deal pretty well and go get, for me, in my opinion, positions of absolute need, not necessarily because we don't have guys on the roster, but because they're difference makers. So you go get 2 explosive edge rushers and then an explosive good D lineman. That's what was so important to me. If we had landed a freaking another like tight end, or if we had landed like, another running back or something else, I would have been kind of annoyed. Like I was like, bro, I don't need any more receivers. I don't need any more running backs. I don't even really need a tight end. Like, we got our quarterback. Like, just give me offensive defensive lineman. I would have made, maybe one more inside linebacker. But I like that. I'm happy we got some DBs. But it was just good to keep the upward trajectory. Now let me say this, and this is one thing that I thought was interesting. People always want to talk about like there's a very talk out of both sides of your mouth on recruiting. Like I don't like believing in it and getting excited about it. Like let me see what they do. And I know you say all the time, and we have people that message us, they're like, well, I'll take a 3-star with great heart and great effort all the time compared to a 5-star any day. Guys, that sounds great, and I'm the same way. But the teams that are recruiting are the best are the teams that are consistently in the playoffs. Clemson's, Ohio State's, Bama's, Georgia's, Notre Dame's, all those teams. So I'm not making this up. It's facts. Like they're the ones that are bringing these players in. And I think as Tennessee fans, since for the past 10 to 15 years, as Tennessee fans, we say that stuff. Well, we'd rather have a 3-star with great heart or a 3-star that produces or a 3-star that gets better when he's on campus compared to a 5-star. That's because we've seen 5-stars that haven't been that great. We would all take a 3-star in Derek Barnett over a 5-star in Khalil McKenzie. But that's because we only maybe get 1 or 2 5-stars a year or 1 or 2 5-stars every year. Like we didn't get one this year. I don't remember if we got one last year. And then 4-stars, we usually get anywhere maybe between 7 to 10 or 11. Well, listen to this. On Rivals, and this is the order it goes, this is the order of people or teams. Bama's 1, Texas A&M's 2, Georgia's 3, Texas is 4, Ohio State's 5, Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan, North Carolina, UK, and then Vols. Okay? So, like, I'm still happy that we're up there. I don't like the fact that UK's ahead of us. But all those other schools, like, I get why they're ahead of us. And then you go to 24/7, and you have the Vols, Texas A&M's first, then Bama, then Georgia, then you have Vols 14th behind UK, Mizzou, and FSU. So, like, I don't like the fact that we're behind Kentucky, but Kentucky was usually in the 30s is what I saw, maybe like high 20s, 30s-ish. But this year they get 2 4-star kids from Tennessee with the Wade twins that, like, they look like they're pretty good players. I mean, good size kids. So, like, I don't like that they're in front of us. North Carolina's in front of us because they got a 5-star from North Carolina. Missouri's in front of us because they got a 5-star wide receiver who's like a top 5 or top 8 player in the entire nation, but he's from St. Louis. So it's like, if Tennessee will capitalize on some of the guys that are in state that we have that are blue chip, we're going to be okay. But we're just not, it's not as fortunate for us that we have the recruiting grounds as A&M, Texas schools and Georgia and Louisiana. But just think about that. If we land the Wade twins, that's 2 more 4-stars, and we land Walter Nolan, we have a top we probably have a top 5 class, honestly. Like, it's definitely top 8, top 5. You know what I mean? Because that's a 2 4-stars and a 5-star. Okay, so that's how you work your way up. But like I said, I'm not worried necessarily about North Carolina because they had a kid in North Carolina who's a 5-star who went there. UK did a good job getting some Tennessee people, some Ohio people. Doesn't matter. UK could have the number 1 class every year, and I'm still not worried about them because, like I said, they're our little brother. I feel good about it. But listen to these numbers. Rivals. Alabama has 1 5-star and 24 stars. So if they have 24 stars and we have 7, they have 10 of their guys could all be bust, and they're still going to have 3 4-stars that are better throughout their defensive 11 or their defensive or their offensive 11. Okay, then you go to Texas A&M, they get 2 5-stars and 24 stars. Bro, that's 22 players. They can have 11 busts, and they're still going to have a start. They're still going to have 11 that are good players. And then you go to Georgia. Georgia has 5 5-stars and 14 4-stars. This is why Tennessee is not back, and this is why we haven't been back, because even when we're a top 20, top 18, top 15, top 12, like, we're good, we're okay, but we're not going to get to where we want to get. I'm really happy that we have Heupel because I think this staff is, like I said, an advantage on game day, and I think they get the most out of players, which I don't think a lot of our staffs used to do. But that's why these stars do matter, because you want 24 stars compared to 7, because if you do have a bust, it doesn't hurt your overall playmaking and depth. And then the last thing I'll finish up on this rant, Texas A&M, they had 26 kids. 15 of their kids were from the state of Texas. Okay, then you had Bama, and the reason Bama is so good is because of Nick Saban and their reach. Bama got kids from Florida, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and Louisiana. All the great hotbeds, all the great whatever. And then you go to Georgia, 11 of Georgia's 23 are from Georgia, and the other ones are from Florida, Alabama, Mississippi. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, the breakdown of where these guys are coming from is so impressive. And so I just wanted to let the people know that that's why you can say your cute little stuff on Twitter and be like, I'll take 3 stars with heart any day, da-da-da. Yeah, but there's not a lot of 3-star, Derek Barnett's. Yeah, there's not a lot of 3-star. Like, even Jalen Reese-May, like, he came in, he was a good player for us. I mean, I like J May. Like, I like how he played. I thought he made a lot of good plays, but he wasn't like a dominant player. And then obviously he dealt with some injuries. But, like, you have to start recruiting. You have to get in, like, next year and the year after that. Like, we need 12 4-stars. We need 10 4-stars and maybe 1 or 2 5-stars. Like, you got to have that. Like, it's not all about the stars, but then again, like, it's all about the blue chip guys. And, like, I mean, it's hard to compete when Bama's got 24 stars, Texas A&M's got 20 of them, and then Georgia's going 5 and 14. Like, it's a lot. So I don't know if you have anything off of all that.
No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, because a lot of times 2/3 of your class aren't even going to be there by the end of it. Like, that was happening when I came through. They told us, like, a lot of you guys aren't going to make it all the way through. And now with transfer portal stuff, it's even more. Like, you're lucky if you keep, let's say you have 25 total, you're lucky if you get 7 to finish at your school. So it's a wholly different landscape now. So you really do need more. It's like you need more numbers to make up for losing what you could lose. So that's why it's like you really have to work to get all those 4-stars and all those 5-stars, because they're going to make a bigger difference when it comes to losing guys than a 3-star would, like stepping up in place of them. So I completely agree with you.
There's so much attrition, but I do think it's even going to be even more now with the transfer portal. And I'm telling you, I actually think the transfer portal will take a little step back next year, because there's going to be a lot of kids that enter their name in the transfer portal this year, and they are not going to have a home. And, like, for example, like a guy who's a very middle of the road who was fortunate to be on scholarship at Tennessee. And I'm just using him as an example. This is no knock against him, but, like, a guy that's pretty fortunate to be on scholarship at the University of Tennessee. Like, I get it. You want to get out and play, but, like, T. Hodges, like, he was a 3-star. He's from Maryville. We gave him a shot. Like, where's he going to go? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like what's going to happen with him? And then like Brian Maurer was at the University of Tennessee. Now he's at Stephen F. Austin or somewhere. Like, I get it. He's a quarterback. He wants to play. Like, I'm not knocking the kids for leaving. I'm just saying that's just giving an example of how difficult it is. Harrison Bailey hasn't even found a home yet. Like, I mean, all these quarterbacks that have just transferred, whether it's, you know, Max Johnson, who left LSU to go in A&M, whether it's Dylan Gabriel is going to UCLA, like Martinez, which I don't think he's good, but he's going from Nebraska. I mean, like, all these guys are moving, and it's like Harrison Bailey hasn't found a home yet. Like, that might be more indictment on him. But anyways, great pod. I hope everyone likes it. I'm happy with how the class turned out. I feel like we have a lot of good diversity. We got defensive backs. We got a couple good running backs. We got our good receivers. We got some good interior guys, offense and defense. So I think it was a good class. And you know, so I'm overall pretty happy with it. And I know some people talked about the Vincent Sneed guy, and they were like, that was more of like us not wanting him, and we kind of let him walk because of other guys we knew that were coming. Like, maybe, but like, I'm still never going to turn down a 4-star guy who competes really hard that's on the defensive line. So that was the only one that maybe I would have been like, all right, like, kind of wish he would have stayed. But then again, like, he ended up going to Indiana, so I don't know how many other high-level schools were on him.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really see a lot of big-time defensive linemen going to Indiana.
Correct. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think that was a great pod. I think we were able to give the people what they want, a little breakdown on these guys, and let them know our point of view. So appreciate you guys watching and listening. Thank you for coming out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, turn on that notification bell on YouTube, to review and follow on all your podcast platforms. Please tell all your friends and family about us. Tweet us at Kyler Curbison on Twitter for me, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Believe in Tennessee for our main account. Let us know what you thought. Have any questions? We would love to answer them. And you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Kyler Curbison. And then if you want to reach out over text, call, or email, our email is bleavintennesseefootball@gmail.com. Phone number is 865-322-9232. So feel free to reach out. Appreciate it again. And as always, go Vols.